Inside the body, health is an interconnected, kinetic system of metabolic activity and cellular response. To manage this biological complexity, the medical community is increasingly treating nutrition as a direct clinical intervention, a necessary move away from purely reactive healthcare towards systemic prevention. But the current preventative model suffers from a critical failure point at the level of patient execution. Medical providers routinely prescribe what a patient needs to eat through medical nutrition therapy, but they fail to operationalize how the patient will actually execute that plan in their daily life. Leaving the patient to figure out the how creates a massive adherence gap. When individuals attempt to apply abstract nutritional advice against real-world economic constraints, cultural habits, and limited time, the friction is too high. They abandon the protocol. Solving this requires abandoning consumer-facing, disjointed wellness advice. Instead, care must be structured through rigorously governed, globally recognized models, similar to the integrated people-centered care frameworks advocated by the World Health Organization. Delivering a clinical prescription without a practical mechanism for translation is, by definition, an incomplete medical intervention. Bridging this gap requires a two-part architecture. The first half is the Culinary Nutrition Human Development System, or CNHDS. This operates as the theoretical, scientific blueprint, setting the standards for evidence-based care. The second half is Prime Chef & Co. This is the operational delivery vehicle. It takes the rigorous blueprint of the CNHDS and builds the physical and digital platform that brings the intervention directly to the patient. Together, their high-level objective is to integrate 5 highly specialized clinical and behavioral domains into a single, seamless, and deeply measurable patient journey. To prove this architecture works, it cannot aim at a vague concept of general wellness. The initial deployment must target a defined, quantifiable clinical endpoint, specifically pre-diabetes and metabolic health reversal. By focusing on a measurable metabolic baseline, the model generates objective data. This is the only language healthcare administrators respect, proving the system delivers a tangible return on investment. The strength of this architecture lies in strict separation of duties. The CNHDS layer exclusively owns clinical governance, sets the evidence standards, and maintains quality assurance. It dictates the science. Prime Chef & Co. operates strictly downstream. It exclusively owns the user experience, care navigation, and frontline service delivery. It manages the human interaction. Here, we see a deliberate decoupling. The foundation represents CNHDS, an inflexible clinical boundary protecting the patient from pseudoscience. Hovering above is Prime Chef & Co., an agile delivery mechanism bending to cultural preferences to keep patients engaged. Decoupling governance from delivery ensures the operation can scale rapidly across different demographics without ever compromising its clinical integrity. Replacing siloed providers requires a unified 5-pillar model. Pillar 1 is clinical medicine, establishing safety boundaries. Pillar 2 is nutrition science, formulating specific therapy. Pillar 3 is psychology, driving behavioral mechanics. Pillar 4 tracks movement and rehabilitation. These 4 pillars represent the gold standard of integrated care, yet historically they fail when deployed together. Without a specialized mechanism to synthesize these 4 sciences into the logistics of daily life, patients are simply overwhelmed by conflicting directives from 4 different specialists. This necessitates the 5th pillar, the Culinary Nutrition Chef. This role executes a specific clinical function, culinary translation. The chef converts the abstract biochemistry of the nutrition science pillar into actionable grocery strategies. They manage portion control, budget adaptations, and kitchen safety. To do this efficiently, the system uses a global therapeutic recipe library. This tool allows the chef to adapt rigid clinical prescriptions into culturally acceptable, familiar, family-style meals. Early pioneers understood the need to bring nutrition, stress management, and exercise together, but lacked the operational framework to standardize this culinary translation. Culinary translation is the engineered bridge that finally closes the adherence gap between clinical theory and the reality of a patient's kitchen. The primary hazard of multidisciplinary care is friction. Send a patient to a doctor, then a nutritionist or therapist, and they receive contradictory care plans. To prevent this friction, the architecture relies on an internal multidisciplinary case conference. The output is one synchronized, integrated human development plan, delivering exactly 3 to 5 clear, actionable priorities for the patient. This unified plan is managed and delivered by a care navigator, who serves as the sole patient-facing point of contact. By funneling all clinical expertise through this centralized bottleneck, the system protects the patient from administrative fatigue and ensures behavioral compliance. This plan is deployed across a standardized 12-week program. Weeks 1 through 4 establish foundational kitchen and movement skills. Weeks 5 through 8 tackle behavioral barriers and specific cooking. Weeks 9 through 12 focus on independence and long-term maintenance. A structured, chronological phase-out is absolutely required. It deliberately transitions the patient from clinical dependence to sustainable daily autonomy. Validating this architecture requires capturing data beyond standard lab results. Traditional clinical metrics track precise reductions in HbA1c, fasting glucose, and blood pressure. Simultaneously, the system tracks functional and culinary metrics, increases in cooking confidence, dietary quality, and physical mobility. Behind the scenes, the program is evaluated using the REAM framework, measuring reach, effectiveness, adoption, implementation, and maintenance. As the platform scales out to corporate and clinical partners, REAM ensures the operational fidelity of the original protocol remains completely intact. Proving true effectiveness requires proving two things at once: the measurable reduction of clinical disease markers and the measurable acquisition of functional life skills. Food as medicine can no longer survive as a vague theoretical concept. It has to become a measurable, standardized reality. Achieving this demands the strict architectural separation of clinical governance from the service delivery platform. It requires the culinary translation engine to serve as the mechanical link that converts medical data into daily habits to ensure long-term patient adherence. True human development systems do not seek to replace medical treatment. They exist to operationalize it. To solve the chronic disease epidemic, healthcare systems must stop merely prescribing health and start architecting the habits that sustain it.